don't know who that
I don't
is.
know him.
Oh, jeez, boy. Your son looks like him even.
It must be her family.
Really?
Yeah, okay. I don't think any relation.
It tells about him here.
Yeah, but it said Blackstone
Oh, you're
Street and so
right.
forth in Providence. We
But,
came, Andrews came from
look at him.
Neck Hill. I know, but no.
honest, I didn't even have to read it and I would have said Lauren's father. Gosh.
It's Clifford. He was superintendent of the
Probably
roads
turned out to
in
be
South
first cousins.
County.
Must be.
Ed's
Chuck
nephew.
Andrews.
His
Now,
brother's son
I've
was
got
more
writing
like Ed than
paper.
anybody
He
else.
is famous
Anybody in our family.
cartoonist. This is Mont Tillinghast, and we had a lot of circus people live in Hope Valley around here. And this was Helen Engelhardt, and they put on shows. They put these shows on upstairs in the Grange at the Barber's Hall.
My God.
And Mont Tillinghast, Marie DeVere. She was a sword swallower.
Really? And why were
Well,
they
a lot of there was a
I
fat
wonder-
lady. A lot of them. Mrs. Roy Rawlings directed it. That's Lucy Rawlings Tutell's mother.
Yeah.
Hope
And,
Andrews
And you're saying directed
Nancy
what?
Hinchcliffe.
All these plays.
Yeah, she was
taught.
very much a
She
thespian.
taught drama at Rhode Island State College.
Oh, okay, so no wonder.
She was an actress
Right,
in her
right.
old days, and Roy Rawlings was too. He was an actor before
And they
they
met
came here,
somewhere
and they met somewhere.
and came
Lucy
here.
has written a book about her mother, and has it.
Huh.
So she directed a lot of plays in Hope Valley, and they were put on upstairs in where the antique shop
Right,
is, Barber's Hall.
And you said there was a fat lady in the sport.
Well, a lot of people
sword
that work, lived that performed in circuses around New England came and in Richmond and settled in Richmond, in by the Richmond Schoolhouse, the road in there. Their homes there. Saul Saylor's father, I think, was
Right,
was
right.
one.
He was an acrobat.
That's right. So a lot of them settled around here and so forth. And this is the what was his name that drew these? Paul Loring. Paul Loring was a famous.
Mount
And
Con
I-
Club, isn't that what we used to as kids call a haunted house up?
Yeah, and it had a statue in the
Oh,
window.
and we
But
were-
what it was made of something or other. But it was white, and it was up in the window.
Yeah, we always.
My brother had a Shetland pony, Richard, and it went around by Woody Hill Road and saw that up in the window one time and ran away. And Alice and Richard, they were all hanging in all the way back to Hope Valley because
But every
Statues
Halloween,
were-
as kids, we'd get in somebody's truck and go there and try to
yeah,
scare ourselves.
yeah.
I mean, that's our
Right.
fun, you know. Ever heard of her? Hannah Bennett?
Yes, she lived. The Bennetts lived in where David Smith lives on the corner of Maple Street. and
really?
Spring
Oh,
Street.
big house.
Right, where the dentist lived
Yeah,
after that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
A friend
Bradley Kincaid was one of the first shows that I ever saw in the Barber's Hall up there. My brother took me, I must have been about 5, and we went in and sat down, and they had the curtains that came down, canvas curtains with the
display
design
on
on
it,
them. Was, I don't know, a scene of a fountain, and I thought that must be what I came to see, and I sat there admiring that curtain until it went up and we saw the show. But he was a cowboy. They had cowboy shows.
That's what I was just trying to read. He was a cowboy, Kincaid.
Yeah, Bradley Kincaid was a cowboy one. I've got a scrapbook of entertainments. That's all in Hope Valley, and all about Barber's Hall and the entertainments and some of the playbills.
Oh, so
and
we need to
forth.
see that too. We have to have time.
Yeah,
We like to look at that.
But,
Yeah, Barber's Hall. See, Mom was a barber. She was Gladys Barber.
and my grandmother.
This
Oh,
is
and Barber
interesting.
Hall was.
Yeah.
No, it's a different Barber, but it's the same family, yes,
Yeah.
but just different.
Because they owned
cousins.
her uncle who sent her to the East Greenwich Academy had the money. Her grandfather was a poor farmer. But he owned the bakery and he owned Howdy Woman's and he had a store there. And they never had any children. So they paid
Who's the they?
my mother's uncle.
Uncle. okay.
Because
That's
her
right.
father's
She
brother.
mentioned that.
Yes,
Okay.
and he's the one that paid for her to go
To go.
on that too. But this is old Percy Coon. They used to, and you know him, Byron Wilcott. Byron was it Bill Wilcox Byron down here? They had a road race, remember? Percy Coon as a child, they always scared me. They said he lived in a little hut underground up there by the dump.
He lived in Goat Rocks.
Goat Rocks,
Up,
yes,
up
in the
on
rock.
Fairview Avenue, the rocks.
was
He
like
had a
a
cave up there. He lived
See?
in it. And
He
all
did.
He did,
He
and that's
really
where he
did.
died finally.
And he did live
But
there.
you know, they
We were
also
frightened of him.
had bets at different elections, and this might have been an election. But I don't know if it is. But they had one bet was, I think it was Wilcox, Byron Wilcox, and someone. They bet whoever lost the election would push the other one in a wheelbarrow from Hope Valley Square to Wyoming and back again. And the whole town turned out to see what happened and so forth. Election bet.
We didn't have TV.
Yeah, right, this is better than TV.
When they say that, because I'd heard that
Percy
before.
remarked, "You can't tell how far a toad will jump from looking at it, and who can tell just what he meant?" Shaking hands with Coon, Byron remarked, "Are you satisfied I won foreign squaw?"
He was a
is
big,
terrific.
tall man like that with a beard, and he used to wrap burlap around his feet and come down to Browning's store and some of the places where they got through the groceries. They throw them out, and, and check the barrels over and so forth.
Was he original? Where was he from original? Was he married? Did he have children? I don't remember any of that.
I don't know if it's the same family or
But
not.
it's the same name, isn't it? Percy Coon.
Well, I think it is. I think they
Well,
because
they
they
used
all
to-
came from Rockville.
there was a big Coon family that lived in Prospect Square and up
Yeah,
in
that
my
was
house
a
at
different,
one
yeah,
point. That's a
different
different
coon,
okay.
different coon. Well, it might be the same family. They are
Right.
all these families are related
Yeah.
when you go back far enough, cousins and so.
But our
forth.
house where we live was occupied by the Coon
That
family.
was a coon with all the children had the same
Geez,
name. Yeah.
Ginger Garrett, Gary.
Howard Coon was their grandfather, and he was had a store in Hope Valley here and ran a restaurant for a while,
Yeah.
and then he was dog officer for quite a while.
Yeah.
He lived up by the state garage. Percy Coon.
These are just.
But they're all
really-
gone now, right? The Coons? Are there any that?
No, there's some
There's
of the
still some
grandchildren
living.
still
Yeah,
alive.
they're, Walter Browning.
Walter
He
Browning,
owned
that's
the
Browning's store. Yeah,
Now,
Campfire
is Walter
Girls.
Bud? Or was that different?
No, but Bud was What was Bud's name? Was that?
Wallace,
was
maybe.
his
Wallace,
name?
I think he was Wallace.
Yeah, okay. But they were
Two
brothers.
sons, Wallace Merton. Let's see,
Okay.
6 grandchildren. He would have been a grandchild.
Now here's your blacksmith shop destroyed. Remember you thought that?
Okay, Niles. I said the Niles had a basket shop. Well, they also had a blacksmith shop. So that
You
was
think that
Niles.
picture that nobody knows?
I
is-
think it is. Yeah, it was.
Where was the
picture
blacksmith
here.
shop?
Yeah.
Martin Niles was one of the owners. They also had a basket
This-
shop. I've got a
See, we
couple of
had to-
baskets
this
out
was-
from that.
This was put
That's it.
in the paper. The building has been identified as the old blacksmith shop in Wyoming, but we know nothing about it. And she thought,
Ah.
I wondered if that was it. No one ever had a name for that.
So that's
Think
in
of it.
Wyoming. Do you know where in Wyoming the blacksmith
Where,
shop was?
where was it located?
I think it's, is it Bridge Street? I think it's along Bridge Street somewhere by the stagecoach house where you turn to go down toward
maybe
the
so.
Arcadia
Okay,
Road.
yeah.
I think that's
Okay.
where it was.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
And
want
that's
it.
why the basket shop was along that road too.
Okay.
Okay.
And Hope, you say you have some of those baskets?
Yes.
See these people?
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
that's
This was
from
my
made at
grandmother
the,
with her
they
posy.
used to make baskets
This
there.
was Dr.
looks like my
Nathan's
And
grandmother.
they'd
The
be
Smith's
piled
house
up
is for sale. That
hundreds
was
and
Dr.
hundreds of
Nathan's
them, and
wife.
they'd bring them down
lived
to the
there.
railroad, and
And
they
Nick
ship
lived
them
there?
off to be
Pardon?
sold.
With a dent.
They had
well,
quite a
no, Dr.
business.
Nathan's,
Can we-
And they're very
owns
famous.
Can we
the
take a
Watchell
picture of
Nursing
them
Home
sometime?
before he died.
The basket?
He and his
Yes.
wife
I can
lived
bring
in
it over
Smith's house.
sometime,
Was a
sure.
doctor in Hope Valley.
I'll bring it over.
Then he moved from here to Wesley to the Watchell Nursing Home. And that was his wife, but she belonged to the church, I
This
guess.
is your grandmother.
This is my grandmother. But this one here was the one with the money. She's May Nichols. You must
Oh,
have
yeah, yeah,
pictures
yeah.
of May,
May.
Nichols.
Well, I've
They
heard of
know
her.
they know about
Well,
the
they-
Nichols and Langley machine
Yeah,
shop,
right.
and
Yeah,
she was the daughter
Put your
of
finger on that.
Yeah,
Henry
but does
Clay
she have, do
Nichols.
they have a, that is not, well, it's maybe the best one you have.
She there's a picture of a
You got her somewhere? Okay.
picture of her here somewhere picking strawberries, picking raspberries.
This was
Yeah, I got a picture of
Yeah,
a
that's
picture of
it. It's
raspberries,
in
yeah.
this
Yep,
thing
yep,
here.
yep.
That's her. Yeah. This is when she was older.
This was one of the
We
largest
do get older,
horses,
don't we?
largest horses in the world back
Oh
then.
my God! Look at
30
this.
I hope,
size of
that, I hope
3,200
this is going to be edited.
Yeah, definitely.
No worries.
We're taking me out of it. That's what we're doing.
Now, I think
But you get a lot of information
you
this
may
way.
got this.
Absolutely,
This
yeah.
was her the ice cream. With
Yep.
you got all these.
Masonic
I think.
Hall,
Hundred
that's
Yeah.
different
Green's Ice
flavor-
Cream,
I've read two
137 flavors.
Okay.
Yeah.
137 flavors.
And that's my great-grandfather, and that's my grandfather. They were both pharmacists in Hope Valley, and they this was Green's block, and upstairs was rented to the Masonic Temple. And then when he died first at a heart attack making ice cream, and when he retired, they sold the building to the Masons, so it became the Masonic Hall.
So this is where the ice cream store was. It the Masonic Hall?
Yes, it.
Really?
That's
Yes.
Green's block.
Yes.
That was built as Green's block. It had a window there, then a bay window, and the ice cream. You see the ice cream?
Yeah.
You got it. Have you
Over
got
on
it?
this side of it.
Who mixed the ice cream? Who
He
came up
did.
with the
My
flavors?
grandfather, and later my father kept over the
And came up
took
with the
over-
flavors?
took over
'Cause
the
there are all
business.
kinds of exotic
137
flavors, right?
Pond Lily. They
Pond
picked
Lily.
Pond Lily
Even
from
back then.
Locustville Pond and made the ice
But
cream.
she doesn't need this. You've got a good picture of this, haven't you?
Oh, I've got quite a few pictures of
Okay.
that, and the
Okay.
ice think they
Yeah.
made the ice
You know what,
cream.
ladies? Just for the sake of the camera, I'm going to do this. So you're all...
Oh,
But we're going back and forth between these folks.
Okay.
we're jumping. Yeah,
Well,
we-
let me
I
get
got
the
two
camera out of
bits
the way.
here,
You're
but
drifting off the edge of the camera frame.
I don't think there's
There we go.
anything else in
Okay,
here.
no, that's
We
perfect.
don't. We're not sure, but we think that's the Rockville Post Office. Looks, but we're not
Really? Do you
sure.
think so?
No, maybe not.
I don't know,
thought
but
these
this
were-
looks like the mill of our. No, that's the mill at Centerville, I think. Moscow.
Yeah.
Or it might be the one at Rockville. I can't. These
think
mills
it-
look
I
so
think
much
it's-
alike.
I don't think it's the one in Rockville.
stoves and
It may be the
ranges.
one there in
Centerville.
Centerville,
Have you ever
because they had fires in the top of it.
If you come across it, like, you need this, you can take a picture. I don't know who he is, but
John
it is.
Wilson would look like- God, he was wonderful.
Who was?
John Wilcox.
Oh yeah, get him.
We did.
Okay.
this morning.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, it is. It is.
I
Really.
love to talk to these old timers. Old timers. Yeah. Listen to me. He's older than I am now.
Okay, Holman and Riley. I don't
Okay,
know.
I got a picture of that.
Oh, what is this?
Slocum. Slocum, North Kingstown.
Oh, okay. We don't want that then. This is a turkey. I don't know who it is. Oh, Eugene Palmer, the turkey farm in Rockville. Remember
Oh, my
that?
goodness. Look at that.
20
Yeah,
pounder
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving's
Josiah's.
coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Ashaway.
Barberville School.
Okay, now Barberville.
Barberville. Where's Barberville? Up by Barber Dam?
Yeah, as you go to, before you get to Gussing Woodmancease.
Okay.
This side of the river. That's
Okay.
Barberville.
Okay.
Yeah. In the Barberville School.
Where is it today?
These schools closed, I think, in the 1938 or something like that, and they had consolidated. They all came to Hope Valley. They closed these one-room schools like Bell Schoolhouse and
Right.
all of these. And
Okay.
Miles.
Yeah.
Gardner.
he was
people
just
are all
at the
still
funeral,
here.
Holland's funeral the other day. He's 80 some now,
Oh, jeez.
still living. You see, yeah,
Oh, yes.
all of these schools, public
Yeah,
auction.
Does it have a date?
Yeah,
Is it-
Beaver River.
No.
Was this the one that was up where the donut shop is now? Where that Chinese restaurant and the donut
Oh,
shop? There
Saul
was
was
this,
just talking
No,
about.
that was the school, Wyoming.
Yeah.
That's Wyoming
This
school.
says Wyoming
I took
school.
pictures of that.
oh, it
This
does
is
say
Wyoming
It
one.
says
school.
Carolina.
No, that's
this
that
was
one.
Oh, I'm
Eight-
sorry, it
eight-
is. It is, and they
1863.
burned that. The Hope
Yes.
Valley Fire Company burned
Yeah.
it.
Beaver River.
Because
This is Carolina.
Saul
That's
went to school
Wyoming.
here. Saul went to school here.
Oh, we did.
Where did you go to school?
Oh, wait a second. What are we talking about?
Hope
Carolina
Valley.
here?
Yeah, Carolina School. That was in no, it's
This
Wyoming.
is Carolina here.
School. This is Carolina, but this is Wyoming. That's where
Yeah,
Saul went to school.
The day they burned
Oh,
it,
Bessie, now it's
I
in
ran
Wyoming.
home and got my camera and went back. I don't know where the pictures are down. Get pictures of it.
Yeah, I got
Oh, you want a picture? Okay.
I'll just take a quick
Okay.
picture of that, just because I'm really interested in Carolina things.
Oh, sure.
Thanks. Did you get the right one? Yeah, I think so, the middle one, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Those
here's
cameras are great like that. When I did slide talk, I had to have a contraption
Oh, I
that it
know
sat
it.
up on
It sat up
legs
so it
and
didn't
Oh, so
jiggle.
to get all the pictures and
These
stuff.
things are great.
Okay, this is.
Now this is the maid of, this is the ghost you're talking about.
Oh,
That
it
was in the
is?
window, the jilted maid of Exeter, and it's a ghost. And this is the
Oh.
one that was in the window
Oh, I
of the.
never knew that.
A lot
I
of
never
uh,
read this.
Made
a
of
lot
Mount Tom.
lawyers
There
and
she's-
doctors in Providence owned that building. And
Yes,
it was a
I heard
club.
that.
It was a club. And,
Mount Tom Club. Yeah, there's it. There she
But where's the
stands.
club? Where is it now?
it's still-
Where was it?
Did the house burn? It's on Skunk Hill Road.
All right, you go up Fairview Avenue.
Yep.
Fairview Avenue to the end.
Right.
Take a right.
Take a right. Okay.
Take your first left.
Oh,
And that used to
really?
be called
Yeah,
Mount Tom
and
Road. You
it's
go
still that's still the
Okay.
Skunk Hill Road.
It's
I
called
think.
Skunk
Yeah,
Hill
yeah,
now.
And then goes into the Woody Hill Road.
Okay.
But you
right.
go to the
Further
end
up,
of
and you
that
go to
where it
the end of
branches
it,
off,
yeah.
and at the end you look straight ahead, and there's a huge building there, and this statue was on that.
I think it burned. Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
Oh,
Now
yeah,
that's,
Lucy, Jean
yeah.
Armstrong's mother and father.
Oh, right. I knew Lucy way back
Oh,
when.
okay.
And Jean just died,
Yeah,
right?
she did. Yes, she did.
Oh, I knew her. And I always thought she was much younger than me, and it turns out she was a year older than me.
Oh, okay. Who's this old guy here?
William Gardner of Hope.
This is directing the whole thing.
Oh, right.
And this all was put on upstairs in Barber's Hall. This is the Mount Tom Club.
Yes. Yeah.
Telling about the,
Yes.
I think Tillinghast belonged to it.
Well, this was an actor you mentioned earlier that he
Oh,
was
right. Cowboy.
A cowboy act that was presented at Barber's Hall upstairs.
How many people would attend these concerts at Barber's Hall?
I don't know how many that hall would hold, but everyone in town were there,
Would go.
and the Chautauqua players would come and stay at the Waverly House up by the Polish American Club, and
This was the
put on
Percy Coon.
performances.
This was the big race in town with the hermit here, Percy Coon. Okay.
Oh, and he was referred to as the Hermit?
Wow. Yeah.
well, he lived as a hermit.
He lived
but
as
he
a-
did
in
come
a
down to
cave?
town.
Caveman.
to
We
do
had all
things.
kinds of names for him as a kid.
What did you call the cave? Devil's Rock?
No, it's
Goat Rock.
Goat
Goat
Rocks.
Rocks.
It's still there, Goat Rocks.
Oh, I used
and the
to live
ledges up there on the
I didn't know
Fairview
he
Avenue.
lived there because when I was a teenager, my friend and I, all of us, we lived there days. Remember,
Well,
I was going 8
Mary
hours. My mother
Place
never
and
knew.
Raymond Burdick and Mary
I
Burdick,
love
they all
Goat
lived
Rocks.
down below, but there were snakes up there too.
I loved it up there. We just spent days up there.
And it was off what road?
It's on Fairview Avenue.
Oh, it's on Fairview Avenue.
On the
Okay, I gotta
right,
go
you look up and
find
you'll
it.
see
Okay.
cliffs of
We didn't
rocks.
talk about this, and this was a fire, but not here. This was all schoolhouses, but it, where was this for the school?
So there's no
Oh,
date.
God.
Well, this is 1937. Mark Kenny died. This is Fred Kenny's younger brother.
Oh, really?
But so it
he
must have been
very
about
young.
30. I said about 1938. This
Right,
is the same
37.
period that
Yeah.
those schoolhouses were consolidated
Okay.
and all made.
He must have been very young when he died.
He was. He had greens. Like Ford Green is a different green.
Yeah,
than
oh, that's
my
right.
greens. He came
That's
from
right.
Canterbury, Connecticut. I think.
Okay. This was
Now
Avery.
this is Mr. and Mrs. ex-Senator George Nichols and Mrs. Nichols. They lived in the same place that her mother and father lived. They were the first ones that lived there, where Depot Square is,
Oh, really?
the farmhouse there.
Farmhouse.
They owned that and they lived there. And then your Alan Barber and Geneva, they lived there afterwards. But
This is the farmhouse that was where the Western Auto later, Sherman
Yes.
Building
it,
later
it
was.
became
Okay.
Western Auto later
Yeah.
on.
My grandmother lived there.
They tore
Oh.
the building down. The
Avery's.
farm,
Oh.
beautiful farm there, little farm
Yeah,
there.
that's what I heard.
So this is Avery now. He was.
Sam Avery, that's Cleaver and Elwood's father, and he was a former senator. Richmond and Nichols and so forth. He's the one that Avery Funeral Home.
Yeah, I didn't know if you.
Like that flat. So
Flat. The better flat. Okay,
yeah,
yeah. Leave it off.
Well, it just has that shiny
Oh,
reflective
yes. Okay.
And his wife, Ethel Avery, drowned in the 1938 hurricane at Charleston when the tidal wave came in. He lost.
You tell us when you're ready. Now
I'm ready.
turn.
I'm
Okay,
ready.
dear.
Yep.
You just.
Thank you.
Just more of the plays, were they? Or
Some
they
more of
play-
these drawings by Paul Loring.
And
But
this-
these are local people that he's drawn.
See, this is
and
the
so
jilted
forth.
maid that they had up in this ghost house at Mount Tom that used to frighten us all as children. And this tells about that if you can get it.
I'm not.
Interesting.
Well, no,
You can't-
au contraire. What I'm wondering is, the jilted maid, you're saying?
Yeah, it was a statue, and it says here that they were called. That's what she was called.
Huh.
Shh, it
Jilted
goes.
maid. And where is this located again?
Mount Tom it's in Exeter, but you take Fairview Avenue to the right, and then you go up Skunk Hill Road to the end.
No, she's not still there, is she?
Well, we don't know. She was when I. This looks like that may have been the building at the time. It's a ghost.
Cool. Thanks.
It was a tall white farmhouse, and in the upstairs window there you could see this white maid.
Huh.
Knee high. This is knee high, but it's all drawn by Paul Loring, and he took different towns. Happens to be Richmond, that he drew the James Barber and Henry Clark and so forth.
And now, just to clarify again, this album is from your mother?
Yes, my mother's mother.
Your
So it's my
grandmother.
grandmother.
Your grandmother.
Yes.
This is Geneva's.
Yeah, this is Geneva Barbers.
Geneva Barber.
Barbers. Yeah.
So we're covering what time frame do you think here?
Oh my goodness, Mom was born in 1905, so back in the 1800s. I don't know when.
But it's 1930s.
Oh wait a minute, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
1930s. Some
I'm
of these-
sorry. Yes.
You've got her picture in that
Yes.
other scrapbook.
Yes.
Geneva's picture.
Yeah, at
and,
50th anniversary. That's right. So
50th.
yeah, this is around. You're right, 1930s, right? Yes.
And mostly from the Providence Journal? Or is it from
What
other-
paper would have this been at the time?
Most of them, Providence Journal and the Hope Valley Advertiser. Some of these came
See,
from.
they don't say. She cut that
No,
part.
this First Baptist Notes, Hope Valley. This would be or the Westerly Sun.
Okay.
But these came from the Evening Bulletin, the
Oh,
Providence
okay.
Journal.
Okay.
Because he was a famous photographer.
Okay. First marriage in history? My gosh, at that church?
And she wore her grandmother's or great grandmother's wedding dress or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was the game of it. But
Oh, that's the Carolina Church.
Where's
In the
that?
lower left.
Oh, okay.
Now this is interesting. This is a recital by Hazel Crandall. She was a local piano teacher that
Yes.
lived on Maple Street, where I live.
Across the street from Hope.
Yeah, and a lot of these.
Look at Betty Kugler. I haven't
Betty
seen her
Kugler,
in
yeah,
years.
yeah.
Years and years and years.
Ellen Rathbun, which Ellen Kenyon now, Francis Mosher.
Unbelievable, huh?
No date on it. Yes, there is. 1936.
36. Now this is the Rockville Seventh-day Baptist Church. I don't know if you.
That's a beautiful church.
Yes, I've never been in that church.
I have once.
I've never been in there. Oh, here's the custodian, the gold-headed cane back when now. This was your Westerly Sun.
Yep.
Got the date up
Oh,
here?
I don't see the date on that.
Yep, here we go. 47.
47.
What the heck was he?
They gave the golden cane to
Maple
the
Street, Hope
oldest
Valley.
resident in
William
town.
Palmer Jr. Hope Valley.
Okay, he
Ninth.
lived over in back of where I lived on Spring Street. William Palmer was Mabel Gorton's father.
Oh, for gosh sakes.
There's a little house right where Ruth and George lived. That little house out there. Well, that was Mabel's father lived in that little house.
Oh, my gosh.
And that he was.
He got the
got
cane,
gold
huh?
headed. I didn't realize that.
Oh, here's Rollins. Now, you might want this. That's
Okay,
why I
this is,
flagged this.
This is going on the train on
Yep.
the railroad tracks.
And Lucy's there, right? Isn't this Lucy?
Does it tell who?
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm not sure. This is Rob Roy, Jr. Maybe that's the mother.
Elisha Bickwood was in one of these pictures. He went. I don't see him in this one, but Reed Schofield could tell you a lot about that too. Catherine Schofield.
Catherine. Ruby said that she's pretty sharp. Someone told
Yeah.
Judy Fred Kenny
yeah.
that she wasn't, but Ruby says
Ruby
she is.
goes and visits her quite often.
Yes.
She said she can't see too well, but she said she can remember. She's quite. The mind is good.
Oh, my brother. Oh, my brother actually went to church. I got to show him that because he'll never believe me. Now, who is here?
That's Reverend Jonathan Nielsen and
Okay.
his wife.
His desire to be lazy. That's great.
Ex-chaplain with the Bronze Star. Dr. Nuhr, famous doctor, horse and buggy doctor in Hope Valley.
Oh, yeah.
and everybody loved him.
Oh,
He's
that's what he looked like? Oh.
well known. He's Pennsylvania Dutchman. Big, heavy, thick-set fellow.
K-N-E-R-R. Yeah.
He'd come see you. He said, "You know, don't you know?"
Didn't he
was
live?
our family doctor for
Didn't he
years.
live in the house over on the other side of my brother Junior, Dr. Nur, in that long house beside Fred Kenny's old house that he built? Did Dr. Nur ever live over there?
No. He lived for a while where the old telephone exchange beside Monpont and
Okay,
that
Nicholas'
little house
place
there,
there,
where
yeah.
the telephone exchange
Okay.
was, and then they bought a farm up on.
Okay.
Oh, please somebody tell me they know something about this guy holding the cat.
Okay, who's this there? She
Sean
won't
is-
steal
What?
anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, that cat was,
It says December 7th, but the year is
Oh,
off.
okay.
it's not folded over
All right,
either.
so we know it's the mid-30s.
Oh, wait a minute,
Everyone
wait a
else is, yeah.
Tuesday. Yep.
1943.
43. What kind of a cat was it? Did it say
Wildcat, I
George
think. Yeah,
Main
wildcat.
of Shannock trapped this wildcat, 14.5-pound wildcat. They had been stealing mink and other valuable fur-bearing animals from its traps for several weeks.
Now, this is Ruby Wilcox's sister-in-law,
Elizabeth,
Roberta Wilcox. That was her husband's
this was
sister.
John that you interviewed. That's his sister.
That's John.
it's John's
yes,
sister,
yes.
Yeah,
okay.
and she moved. I guess she lived in Texas or somewhere. She was very, very smart, and
Very.
she had a good job teaching.
She still live
college there.
A quick, funny story. I was 13 when I moved up here, so I'm probably 6 to 8 years old. And her father was a carpenter, and out in the paint shop, we didn't play dolls, we didn't play paper dolls. We played with sticks. And these were our dolls. She organized this. I wouldn't have ever thought of it. And we have to put these sticks in different color paints. And if it went to the
those
bathroom,
things
we
that
had to
you
go to the
already-
brown paint. It's funny how I remember this because, I had beautiful dolls. What was I doing down
these
here?
sticks.
But
with
she
sticks.
organized it, and I can't tell you, that girl, well, she was older than I. Maybe that's why I followed her so much.
That's amazing.
It is.
It's E.A. Barber. This is different Barber. See, this is on Maple Street that died. He had a sash and blind shop. John Kugler's father-in-law.
I heard about the sash and blind shop.
That was right down on the
corner?
And then he's the one that ran that.
I have no idea what this is. It doesn't tell me about it either. Okay, what do we got here? An operation.
Okay, in World War II, in the Westerly Sun, they had pictures of everyone that served, and this is the Maines brothers. And they played in the Hope Valley bands when we had bands
Oh, well,
in
there was
Hope
a
Valley.
Maines that played music that lived down by the Wyoming Dam. Tommy Maines. And
Tommy Maines, and
Yeah.
this is Tommy Maines here.
Oh,
This is
for
him.
heaven's sakes.
And then
He
he
taught
taught music
music
afterwards.
at South Kingston
Oh,
Junior High
yes.
School.
That's
And
him.
sometimes
Yes.
I drove back
Yes.
and forth
And
with
John
him.
Maines was his brother,
Oh,
and they all played in the band. All
for
musical.
heaven's
That whole
sakes.
family
Oh,
was
yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
You don't know the Caswells, or do you? Or Lloyd Kenny. This was
Lloyd
Stone. Andy Stone was killed in Korea. I think that's the one. That's Eleanor's older brother. Yeah, that was sad.
Andre. Yeah, Andre was.
Oh,
That's
that
right.
was so sad.
It says here, dies in action.
Yeah. I don't know who that Smith was. Who we got here? East Green. Oh, that's Mom's
Your
Bear
mom must be
Academy.
in. Was she in the picture?
I don't know. In class, John. I don't know. She hasn't got herself circled. Apparently not. Now who's this one down here? Production line. Where the heck was this?
But this is where your mom went to school, right?
Yes, yes. Sweaters and pajamas.
This was Kenneth Hike. This is Nathan's. It must have been World War II.
Oh,
they were knitting for
Okay.
For the soldiers.
the soldiers and so forth.
Okay. Oh, that's another academy. We don't want that. Now, what is that thing?
Oh, this is good. This is one of those. A sawmill, right. It's a portable sawmill. They would take it around to different places and cut wood.
Captain Sawmill operated, that's what it was probably.
And I think they also cut.
And they used a lot of those
yeah,
after
cut
the
railroad ties.
after the '38 hurricane. They used a lot of those. They traveled around with that, cutting up the trees that went down.
Yeah, I read about that, yep. There was one, when we did our oral history of the hurricane, one woman from East Greenwich, whose husband was a forester, said that the reason we won World War II was because of the 38 hurricane. And they had stockpiled all this wood that had been blown down, and they made the ammunition crates and the boxes that shipped all the stuff overseas.
Elisha Bitgood here had a box shop in Wyoming, and he had quite a business up there.
Yeah.
It was one of the businesses that burned with the demise of the railroad.
Nothing you want.
Now, we heard one story this morning that maybe the granary fire was set. Did you
Oh,
ever hear
really?
that?
I never heard that, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's reached its end.
Where's that taken from?
Where was this taken, this auto show here?
It was driven by Fremont Burdick,
Oh,
pinned
okay.
against a pole by one operated by...
That's Kay Burdick's
Ruth Slade.
brother-in-law. I wanted, Mom, yeah. It had to do with somebody in Hope Valley. They
Okay,
wouldn't have-
this I've just been reading an old diary at home. Well, my sister Kay went to college to Chicago Baptist Missionary Training School, and she was going to the train station to go to Chicago, but they had to go to the hospital on the way to visit Fremont Burdick and his brother William Burdick and somebody else that had been in this automobile accident and was in the hospital with broken legs and so forth.
Oh,
And
for heaven's sake.
I don't know if this was the accident or not, but
They
anyway.
don't make them like that anymore.
No,
They would have been dead if they had
this is Fremont.
take a
Oh, I'm
picture.
sorry.
Now, are these Burdicks related to the Burdicks that was murdered on Schmuckanuck Hill Road?
No. These are the three brothers that were in the service. This is Raymond, my brother-in-law. This is Fremont that was in the accident. This is William, who they made careers of the military. They did, and then he became a minister in Texas.
He just
Ruth
passed
Venus.
away a few years
Yeah,
ago,
and so Rich Raymond's the only one. He's just turned 80, the only one still living in the Batons.
Oh, this is the grain elevator right there, by Rollins Grain Elevator.
What does it say about
Fire damages storage plant in Hope Valley. We don't have a year on it, but I think it was 1940. Well, this is 44, so maybe around 46 or something.
It was about 46,
Yeah.
I think. 44,
He returned from
45,
Florida
46.
early
Lorne
yesterday
just got out of
afternoon.
the service. And
He was greeted at the train by his wife, who was obliged to tell him that his grain elevator had been on fire and was still smoldering. Cannot understand why flames had not worked into these elevators. Oh, Alexander Smith. Oh, I remember the Smith brothers. We interviewed Alex Smith about the hurricane. So the heroic manner in which Alexander Smith, the acting chief of the department,
he,
nipped in the bud the spreading flames.
led the Hope Valley Fire Company for many
Yeah.
years. He was the head of it.
I remember that.
The greatest loss was 25,000 bags that were in the bag room. So this is not the big fire. This is a fire before the big fire, it looks like.
Yeah, this is the damage to storage plant.
Right.
Yeah.
The fire started. in
But
some of the-
they saved the elevator.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Here's Willis G. Nichols. Now that's my uncle. That he's the only. They were the two children of Amos G. Nichols that had the Nichols and Langworthy machine shop. He had a heart attack and he died coming home from Wakefield. He'd been to the doctors and on his way home.
Oh,
Lauren
Lauren
Andrews.
Andrews.
Mary.
Ah, here we go. There was a Shannock man here. You're from Shannock, are you?
No, I'm from Carolina.
Oh, Carolina, okay.
An attractive September wedding. I love scrapbooks.
And it was a candlelight ceremony, which was a good thing because we'd had a hurricane the day before and there were no lights in the church anyway.
So what
So
year was
it was candlelight.
What year was this?
Yeah, when was this?
1944.
44. Oh, there was a big hurricane in
That was a big
44.
hurricane.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you remember about the hurricane?
1944.
This was Mabel. She was Mabel Barber. Was my grandfather's sister.
Oh, okay.
You remember Nellie Phillips? That they had the sawmill and.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nellie and Mabel were sisters.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Georgia.
Hey, Georgia, how you
How you
doing?
This is
Out of
very
this
informative.
world.
Yeah, We're almost, well, we'll go by pretty fast here. Your Hope Valley plant damage, what is that plant? Oh, it's continued on page 1. I don't know what that is.
Empty pages.
Yeah.
Oh,
12. I don't know what that's.
That's the ice
Green's
cream.
ice cream. Look at all the flavors. Oh,
That's
this is
my
so
brother.
good.
Do you have that
there.
one?
have that.
Okay.
I
All
love
right.
this. Look at
Okay.
Ping pong ice cream.
Okay.
Billy Bounce. Oh, I
Some
love
of them-
it. Did
some
you
of
think
them
up some of the
really-
names?
Some of them, no, I was a baby. I was very pretty little.
Here's
Some of
another
these are baby
But some
sea moss. Oh, I love it. How imaginative. It's sort of like
the old trains here.
Isn't this crazy? We're
Baskin
doing this old
Robbins
stuff,
comes up
Nancy.
with all the-
I love
Right.
it though. I love it.
We're not old enough.
Now
for
we
that.
just decided we were old too.
That's what I just decided too. When I'm looking at this, I'm saying I shouldn't be here.
Gold and silver. Shit, that looks like Bill Edwards' mother. Was that a Langworthy? Was she? Is that a Langworthy?
Oh, yes.
Looks
that's,
like her.
Yep. Their silver
Golden
wedding
wedding.
anniversary. Mr. Langworthy is president of the Hopkinton Town Council.
Oh yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. John S. Barber observed their golden wedding anniversary, and their daughter and son-in-law, Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Langworthy.
Okay. That would be Josie's
Mother-in-law.
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 Yeah.
He looks like an Edwards.
That was that. That was yeah.
Barber. John Barber.
Can I come up? Quick look at, oh, what about this? That's
Oh,
what I
she likes these animals.
Well,
don't
I just,
Foxy Hunter.
Oh, there's a fox.
Someone who lived
I've
down
interviewed-
Pasco Chepachet Road.
interviewed a lot of people who've done hunting, and
Oh,
so it's interesting to see.
yeah. Some of those names may
Real
appear.
I walked over to our
you.
vineyard last week, and there was the most giant woodchuck you have ever seen.
my
I mean, really, literally, his back was this broad, and he was this high.
Jeez.
I didn't think it was a woodchuck, but I can't think of anything else that it would have been.
Getting fat on grapes.
Did you hear about our harvest, though? We had a great harvest.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
really
good.
good, really good.
He burned. John S. Tanner, he's an uncle of my mother's. He refused to give his land up to the state. Anyway, they had, he wanted to start a fire to burn grass, I guess, or something, and Harry Lewis was fire warden and said, no, it's too windy. Well, an old Yankee, he was going to do it, and he was all crippled up with arthritis. He must have been in his 80s. Well, he started a fire and it got away from him, and he fell and he burned to death. And the house burned and everything burned up. And that, this isn't the article.
Who
about
was that, John
but
Tanner? Is that
John S. Tanner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
You always hear these things happen, so that...
Yes. Oh, this was the famous doctor. We showed you the picture of
Yeah,
him
Dr.
before.
Nerd.
Yeah. He died at 69.
Linda, your fingers are on some article. What does that say?
Willis Carr, Nooseneck veteran grocer, dead at 88. One of the best-known residents of West Greenwich and member of Democratic State Central Committee.
Here's Josiah Palmer here, and George Gardner for the IOOF, for the Odd Fellows.
Who the hell's that?
Oh,
Do you have
Dolly?
any idea who he
No,
looks
I
like?
haven't.
No.
Because in those days, they had the Odd Fellows and the Masons. They didn't have television, and these fraternal organizations were very popular. And not a lot of people go out. Edna Biggood and Irving. And their wedding.
Oh, they were so wonderful.
Oh, you
The
remember?
six principal
Oh, yeah. I interviewed them both.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I interviewed her about the women in World War II, and Irving about the hurricane.
Actually,
Bell Wilson, they had an antique shop on Spring Street. Enoch Giroux, I believe, well-known mason contractor, built the bridge. You go over Hope Valley Bridge right down here on the square, and you'll see his name on the side of the bridge, I think. Enoch Giroux. He lived up across from Delfield.
these are Rebecca's, but I don't know if you're interested in that. The old Womancy building is where the Rebecca's.
It's
hall is.
Oddfellows, and the
Where the women
women's
is the
section
group,
was
yeah.
the
Rebecca.
Rebecca Lodge.
I don't know.
They were the
Rebecca,
odd
was
fellas, the women's branch of the odd
Right,
fellas.
but when the
Yeah,
Oddfellows.
they were the odd women.
like the Masons and the
Well, you
Eastern
asked, I know
Star.
that much.
But now that
Odd.
any of those organizations would do. What would
They did.
Rebecca do in a typical year?
Did they do services?
Well,
area services?
They did. It
social,
was.
I think.
I belonged. Yeah, I was in the grant. It's sort of a fraternal organization, and then they took care of, like the odd fellows do, the masons of the widows of the
meals.
orphans.
Right.
Okay, so social service and help
they-
people in need.
Yeah,
Well, we didn't have
prepare
welfare
meals.
back then.
Right.
So that
And
they
welfare.
were do-gooders.
Just like the Lions
I'm
Club.
sorry, Richie.
How are you?
Just like the Lions.
And
Now
just
see,
join
here's
in,
how
that's
Valley
fine.
Baby
It's
goes
really good.
along.
Yeah. Yeah.
While Mama plays golf. This is another one by Paul Lord. I'm fascinated by his drawings.
I could tell. Anybody you know there? Anybody important?
That's Sam Richmond. That's Cleaver, and that's the funeral home. He ran the
Babies?
funeral home.
Oh, his name.
No, this is Silas Richmond. I'm sorry. This is his brother. Sam Richmond was his brother that had the funeral
He must
home.
have been important. Look at the big
Well,
picture
he
they
was.
put in the paper.
He was, what did he do? He worked in the bank. Position in the First National Bank of Hopkinton, was cashier in the bank.
Well, banker deserves to have a big picture, don't you think?
Oh, wow, taxpayers.
He was something in the church too. He had a lot to do with in the church, deacon, I guess. And maybe he sang in the choir. I don't know.
Some wedding in Wakefield.
Leslie Stone.
Leslie Stone, okay, and his wife. Well, they both are.
Salisbury and Burdick. Salisbury and Burdick.
That's Alice. Alice and Salisbury. Warren Salisbury. Ruby
Oh,
Judy.
Warren,
Ruby
Warren.
Judy and Jean's
Yeah,
mother and father.
I knew Warren too.
They were married up on Spring Street, side of your mother's house.
But
Grandpa
Salisbury-
Lewis's house.
Burdick. Who's Burdick?
Alice
Alice
Burdick.
was a Burdick?
Alice was a Burdick.
Oh, she wasn't a Lewis?
No, she was a Burdick. Nellie was a Lewis, her
Her mother was a Lewis.
They married Herb Burdick, and Herb Burdick died young, and she married Del Clark. But Alice was a Burdick. She's Raymond's cousin,
Oh, I didn't
Eleanor
know that.
Burdick's brother.
I didn't know that.
Now, what
Okay.
relation to Warren Salisbury is this?
This is their wedding.
Their wedding. This is
Warren's
Warren's
first
wife.
wedding.
Okay.
He married Alice. It was Alice.
There's somebody's wedding there.
Burdick.
Oh, here.
That's why I tried to get Alice.
You
to
might
come
want this
because
one. This is
she
the
would
Hope
remember.
Valley's postmaster's.
This is
flies
good. I
first.
have a lot of this information, and I took it down. Lucy, I guess, took it down to. Where is it? They've got the museum down at Quonset. They've
Oh.
got a
Oh, okay.
air museum down there because he was the first postmaster to fly an airplane in the Hope Valley,
Ah.
in Rhode Island, rather.
That's. Does
Who
she
is
want
that?
to take a picture?
Bob
Bob
Bickgood.
Bickgood.
Oh,
Remember Bob Bickgood there? He's
Well-
did he, yeah, he passed away, didn't he?
Young
Yeah, he
Bob.
did.
Young Bob.
Young Bob married
Father.
Alice.
okay.
Alice Goodmansey.
Yeah.
And they had Western Auto.
Right,
But
that's-
this is their
we
father.
can
and
come
he was,
back to
he
it.
was postmaster
didn't
for a
know.
while.
Yeah.
Now Herbert Lewis, that's Grandpa Lewis.
Oh, elevator crushes the boy to death. A
Yeah,
dog?
Bobby Dow down in Ashaway.
Oh,
Crushed by what?
There's
elevator?
Alan Baba. That's your grandfather.
grandfather, yeah.
Crushed to death between the floor of a rising freight elevator and the
Yeah,
second
their
floor
engineering. Have you
landing
got that?
as he lay face downward in the elevator.
Yeah. He's a stepson of Frank Hill.
A boy was crushed in it, a little
Do you mind
boy.
if somebody read that aloud a little bit? Just
Yeah, it's really interesting. 11-year-old stepson of Frank Hill, Republican State Central Committeeman from Hopkinton, was crushed to death yesterday afternoon in Hopkinton between the floor of a rising freight elevator and a second-floor landing.
And the
As he lay-
engineering in West. You
Right.
remember the probably
I do
before
remember.
you,
As he lay face
1939.
downward in the elevator, waving gaily to a group of young friends
Yeah,
playing
so
baseball.
sad.
He died of a broken neck. That was 1939, and you said it was at Etna Engineering, which used to be in Ashaway, right?
It is in
Yeah,
that.
still,
It's
still
there,
well,
isn't
the
it?
building is still
Yeah.
Isn't that there?
The building is still there, but the business is not anymore.
Yeah, that's where it was. Okay, this is cousin Margaret Dow.
Dowfield?
Donald Dow. That's
Dowfield?
her brother.
Okay.
Was they named Dowfield after him.
Why did they name the field after it? Was he?
He was
in
one of the
World War
first one that was killed in World War II from
Yeah, that's what I
Hope
remember.
Valley.
Yeah.
oh, wait a second, folks. Sorry. Have to
That's
say that
okay.
again.
We'll come back. We only have one really probably that you really want to take a picture of.
Well, let's go back before we forget, okay?
Okay, dear. she wants everything.
Which one
That
do
young
you
one. The one about the postmaster there. The
Bob Biggood?
Biggood. Yeah, I guess we gotta
think
go
it's
back.
back
to it,
further.
'cause we did
Yeah.
go more than we thought.
Maybe that one.
I think he's in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Let me just, hold on.
There we go.
Okay,
Right,
just-
take your time.
Okay, now wait a second. Let me just go back.
Here, I think. What is that there? A thing I don't think it's any.
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Allen Bob are married 48 years.
Who?
Fred,
He's outside?
he's right there in the other room.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Fred
there's
Stanley?
the picture.
There they are.
Yeah.
Ken.
That's Allen Bob are in Geneva.
This is her scrapbook. What you're seeing now, that's her scrapbook. Old Hopkins production line. Oh, yeah, we remember
His George Irish died. This is Lucy
mother. Yeah. Oh, Botel escapes injury.
Armstrong's brother.
What did old
Oh,
Ed do
really?
here?
He
He
was
was
an
a
Irish.
young boy. Yeah, she was an Irish.
Oh, he overturned his car when he was 30. Ed Botel. Mom got him. My grandma did. One or the other. Oh dear. Kenny. Oh, that's Fred Kenny and his wife.
His first wife.
19.
Yeah, Kitty
Well, my
Doll.
grandmom put the date in that one.
Nancy Kahn.
Oh.
That's a party.
Oh, I had a party. Isn't that great? I deserve to be in that book. I'm ancient. Okay.
History now.
Yeah, that's true. Whole Valley Way. This is just things, events that was in the paper.
Then they put a lot in the paper. You don't get
Yeah.
anything now.
No, of course, Graham put it all out there too.
Lolita used to be send the material in, and she would get a lot of it.
We were wondering where the material came from.
They used to have a local person
And
that
somebody
would
would
send
send
it
it in?
Yeah,
Lita
Lita
did-
Dumas did it for years
And when
years.
she couldn't do it, my mother did. I was on the
Providence
top.
Journal,
No,
No.
this is the Westerly Sun.
the Wesley Sun.
And then they had another newspaper.
They had the Hope Valley Advertiser.
Yeah, that's the one my mother
Yeah.
wrote for.
Oh, the Hope Valley Advertiser, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Did just
We've got a lot of these
Yeah, did
bound
just
here.
people,
It was the
yeah.
Wood River Advertiser, then the Sentinel
Oh,
Advertiser,
here's
and
a
then
cat.
it became the Wood River Advertiser.
Oh.
people would just
Until about
send in.
1950, and you got a lot of information out
Yeah.
of those
Hold on.
older books.
Yeah, take your
that,
time.
My mother directed that, Annie Green. 100 years.
You take right after her, don't you, with your history?
No, not quite. She's much better than I ever was.
Thank you. You can take a picture of this too. This is
Oh, Bill Bickgood's engagement here. Bill Bickgood, remember old Bill Bickgood?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
William Bickgood, yeah, sure. With the white girl, right?
Yeah.
No, that's Leona Bickgood. That was.
Not Wild Bill. This was the other Bill
yeah,
Bickgood.
okay.
Who was Wild Bill?
Wild Bill was Irving's father in Flawney.
And why did they-
Florrie
oh,
Bickgood,
Florrie,
and she used to direct a lot of the
Minstrels.
write a lot of the plays and minstrels and so
Oh,
forth.
Bill
and then
Bickgood. Oh,
we
I-
put on Bob's Hall
I've
every
heard about them, but I didn't know they were written by local people.
produced by local
Produced
people.
by-
That's right.
Then why do they call him Wild Bill?
He was
Because
wild.
he's wild.
He was
If you saw him in some of the minstrels, he was
He was crazy.
so funny. He was so good.
What would the shows be about? What would be a typical plot of a local minstrel show?
Minstrel shows, well, they had end men, and they would you wouldn't be able to have them nowadays. There'd be out
Blackface.
Yeah,
right.
no.
blackface, and the end men were the comedians. And then they would have, then they would have different. They had a chorus,
Right, like a variety show?
a variety show, and they'd
But a lot
have
of
different
comedy.
acts and so forth.
This
See,
mine-
this
I've
is
seen
Moscow,
a
Rhode
few
Island.
minstrel shows.
I don't know if they're interest. This is part of Hopkinton.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything on Moscow. Or not.
No,
I'll leave it.
But back to the minstrel
Okay,
shows,
the
anybody that
Hotel
had any
Farm
talent in the
scene is
town
a
was
big
in the
fire.
minstrel
Now
show.
this is a CM
They sang,
Hall
they
farm.
danced, they did acrobatics, played pianos, violins, and the end
All
men told
kinds of
jokes.
acts. Like
Yeah.
And the end man was the guy that told the jokes.
They told jokes about
Back in-
people.
They blackened their
told
face like the Negroes,
Yeah.
and they were called N men. Howdy Womans, who was one, and like the Wild Bill.
Wild Bill, a lot of.
And
yeah.
Botel would be the what would they call
Like
him?
the
Interlocutor.
Interlocutor.
Mr. Interlocutor.
Interlocutor.
Bill?
Yes. Oh, he was great. He was great.
Ed Botel.
Ed Botel. He did a great job.
This scene of the big fire, this is Fenner Hill.
Dinner Hill. Wheeler's
Yeah,
old
the
farm?
Hall farm.
That
You
was
asked me who that Mrs. Hall was. It's a Wheeler farm. Wheeler's bought it afterwards, but the Halls lived there earlier.
Oh, before Wheeler. Okay, I didn't know that.
What burned down? The barns?
Oh,
I think the barn, the silo, everything burned there.
who was that over
Oh
there?
my goodness, there's another guy.
Gladys Morn from, she was a Pratt from
The
Arcadia.
first year we moved here, we heard a bobcat in the yard.
Really?
Scream.
Oh,
Screamed like somebody was being murdered.
I thought they were.
You can join us.
That's
I
my
thought it was a question about
great-grandfather, 77. 77, oldest druggist in the state. Can you imagine?
Oh, This is
He was 83,
great-grandfather.
great-grandfather. Yeah, my house, he built my house. Hope Valley, this is the main street.
Do you think this is anything she bought?
Tell us how old all these people. Louis Larkin
Yeah.
does everything from blacksmithing, smithing to watch repairing.
Are there Larkins still here?
Okay, so just take it right from here.
I don't know of any around. Albert Wood, he was postmaster. I'll tell you about the postmaster. He was a Civil War veteran.
No
Lived across the street. I said my street was Maple Street is a street of postmasters because he was the postmaster from Civil War on, and then next door was Hazel Crandall, and her father Frank Crandall was.
This is, look at this. Was this her? No, it was Miss.
Lucetta Crandall.
Was
No,
that
that's a
related to?
different one.
Was
No,
that related to
that's a
his
different
older? No.
one. And he was postmaster, and then my husband was.
What's he got on his head?
Cool. I think it's a curl back.
A curl in his hair.
Ah, vanity.
Right.
Jonathan Nielsen, he was the ordinary.
So who wrote the minstrel shows? Wild Bill Bitgood.
He was in it, yeah.
In it.
Howdy wouldn't see.
And Howdy was in it, I know, as an
was in
end man. But who would actually write them? And
And Bill Webster.
Bill Webster?
Yeah,
Webster,
but
yeah,
Fred, who
yeah.
wrote them, dear? Who wrote the minstrels?
they didn't write them.
They didn't write them. They would
just-
they would buy a book that had the minstrel all.
Had them all prepared, and then they'd have acts, that they put acts on. And
Acts
so
in between
We
the
like-
chorus singing,
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
and the jokes were all
they
made so
died-
that they
Fit people.
fit people in town.
Right.
So that
local jokes
they were very
would have.
they were
That's
local
right.
and,
Yeah.
and they
And everybody would think they were hilarious because
They were making fun of each other.
Their neighbors and so forth. Right.
and you
Fred
could really
Kennedy has
make fun of
joined us.
each other back then.
Yeah.
Elliot
Wouldn't be
Miller.
allowed now.
Elliot Miller used to be an in man too. So.
Who?
Elliot Miller.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And I suppose they died out during the civil rights
And I
movement
said
in the
Wild Bill.
60s.
Oh, they wouldn't be allowed to have them today.
Because
No,
I saw
they
them in the
wouldn't- they-
50s.
no,
I
they
know.
wouldn't allow
But
them
I think
now.
they died out during the civil rights movement,
Yeah,
I would imagine,
yeah.
because I saw them in the 50s.
Yeah.
They had them without end men after a while. They had them with just
They did
Wild
without
Bill
the
Bitgood, I remember
blackface.
him getting up dressed like a woman and coming out and doing
wow,
a dance. And he brought the whole house
he was
down. He was so
crazy,
funny.
Men love to dress up like women, I have to
And
say.
he was so funny.
But Howdy Woodmansey was pretty funny.
He was
Yeah.
good.
He was
Good
good.
voice,
Oh,
too.
yeah.
And Gussie, when he was a little boy, used to get up and sing. He had a good voice, so
that's where Billy gets
that's
it
where
from.
Billy gets it from his grandfather and his father.
Yeah, I would say so. I never thought of that before.
And he's kind of a comedian, Billy Gilman, young Billy too.
Howdy was when he was good natured.
Right, right. They were good. They were good.
I just found one more. I don't know if you may have it, Hope. This is the ice cream wagon back in the early
Oh,
1900s.
that was Greens.
No, it wasn't Greens.
Irving Saunders. He lived where Kay and Raymond live now.
Yep.
And he
Okay.
had ice cream.
Yeah, it says
Yeah.
something about Edward's garage there. It-
Present location of Edward's garage. Well,
But
near
Greens-
it said.
Greens
You were
had,
down
what,
the hill on the
101
left.
Oh, Green did. Yes,
Yeah.
right.
And this is
I got all
the
the flavors in that.
this is the
graham
Greens
cracker.
ice Greens block here. Yeah. Because my father, when they sold their house, my father was thinking of buying that and starting his ice cream business down there, but he didn't. Thank goodness. I didn't want to live out of town. I was a town kid. I wanted to live in Oak Valley. I didn't want to ride the school bus.
You sound Blanche.
Spoiled.
I had a chance to buy that all that Lester Tech property up there for $500.
Can you imagine that?
oh,
Can you
Fred.
imagine?
And who wants to live up there, Blanche said.
Oh, my
But I think
goodness.
getting back to the minstrels and the comedy that we used to have in the past, I think it was much more fun than it is today, and you had a lot more liberties that you could take. And I can remember things myself when it was Halloween, and particularly down at Depot Square, when Hack and Livery had the horse painted on the building.
Yeah.
And Halloween, the kids decided to take some liberties with the horse, and they wanted to do the anatomical parts just right, and endowed that horse with things that it never saw before. And the old ladies in town went crazy the next morning.
Well,
And
Halloween,
you can't do those kind of things today.
of course not.
At Christmas time, the fire company had Santa Claus and all the reindeer out front, and it was really nice. And the kids would come by in the pickup truck, and they'd lasso the front reindeer, and that reindeer and Santa Claus would gallop right down the street, about 60 miles an hour, right behind that truck. And again, you couldn't do that today.
No.
Years and years ago, I
You
heard,
could, you just wouldn't get away with it.
But this
I
all
heard
took
of
place in Depot Square. I mean,
I heard
that's
of it,
where
Frank.
all of the fun took place.
anybody remember Frank Fish? Well, Frank Fish ran a livery and ice and coal business. In fact, I think Howdy bought it out.
Yeah.
But anyway, his father ran it before him,
Yeah.
and he got wind that they were going to steal his horse and wagon. Not the horse, but the wagon up there. So he hid in it that night, Halloween night, and they took it up to Wyoming and took it in rowboats and rowed it across to an island up there in Wyoming Pond. And when they got it all done, he came out of the wagon and he says, "Okay, boys, you've had your fun, now put it back."
That's a good one. That's a good one.
So
that's
that
great.
supposedly happened.
Yeah.
Oh, they did some wild things back here those days.
Tell us a few more wild things.
I can remember hearing about this. I didn't see it, but I heard
Right.
that there was a wedding in town, and the bride and groom were set on the back of a wagon on a toilet, and they were tied onto two toilets and driven
Oh,
all
my
over
goodness,
town.
I never heard that. My heavens.
And I think that was the Gordons.
I'm not gonna come over to
It was Zip Gordon and his wife.
Oh,
It was who?
Zip Gordon and his wife.
Oh, is it?
They took a trailer and they put two toilets on it, and they tied them to the toilets and drove them all around town.
I can
And
see
that
them
was-
doing it to him.
Yeah.
Dizzy,
Well,
dizzy.
that couldn't have been too long ago then, because it wasn't that old.
But I mean, that was the kind of fun that
Wasn't
people
that
used to
us?
have, and you can't have it
You're
anymore.
way younger than me.
yeah.
I've heard a couple of stories that Depot Square was sort of the hangout for young boys, particularly. They'd come and hang out at
Oh, for years,
in Depot
before the
Square?
fire station was built there, yes, they'd accumulate there with their cars. Oh, sure they did.
Well, I think that's
People
where all
used
that
to
fun
come.
took place.
This is the way they spent the
Yeah,
evening. They would
yeah,
come and
yeah,
park
sure.
where the fire company is now. That was
Yeah,
all
yeah,
open.
where the fire station
And
is.
watch
Yeah.
the girls go by.
And what-
And they'd watch the
Absolutely.
people go to the store.
They
You know,
watch
when the
Nancy
first
go by.
bathroom was
Nah, I
across
was
the
a
street,
kid.
and they'd just sit and watch their neighbors go to the store. That was their recreation. They'd
Did
go
they
down
walk
and
there, or
park
did
and
they
then
take their
walk.
cars there?
And the men, you would sit on the bridge and talk.
Well, they still do that some.
Yeah.
They do
So,
that some.
yeah.
You see people
But,
sitting on the bridge still.
Mary Botel told a funny story. She said they were coming home, she and Ed, from Westerly, and the car was acting up and starting to break down. And she said, "Oh, I've got to get this fixed. If it breaks down at Depot Square, they'll think we're hanging out with the rest of the guys watching."
I can see it saying it.
Mary's Johnny come lately, though. She didn't come here until she married Ed. so-
Right.
And Paragaric Charlie would be running
Paragaric
up and
Charlie
back.
Wright.
But he was Charlie Wright was
Charlie
drink
Wright.
would drink anything.
Drink.
But he'd in the fall he'd get put in jail, so he'd be there for the winter. You know.
Well,
But
they
that's where he'd even
had
drink
two like that.
Paragaric.
They had two like that. Pete Sherman.
Pete
When
Sherman,
it
yeah,
got
well, he was a
cold in the
little
fall,
later.
He'd break a window out of one of the
And
stores
get put
or
in
something, so
jail
they'd
for the
lock him
winter?
up. Yeah, sure.
And who was the other one you said? That
Charlie Wright,
Charlie
Paragaric Charlie. And when I was in the hospital with back surgery, thrown up and everything, for some reason they were giving me Paragaric. And I told them this story about Paragaric Charlie, and I said, I never dreamed I'd ever be in Wesley Hospital and you'd be feeding me Paragaric. It worked, whatever they gave it to me for.
When
But
babies were teething, they used to put
Paragaric.
Paragaric on
Paragaric,
their
right.
Gums.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
That's right.
Right.
I remember Mom doing that. Now that Charlie, did he live in the yellow house next to Bader's? Was that a
No,
Charlie?
he lived
Wright?
in an old house up on Highview.
He lived way up on High Street.
High Street.
Was it
Up where Charlie Wright lived, up near where
was it our
Charlie Wright lived.
Calvin Wright's grandfather?
Yeah,
Oh,
well, I don't know. He
I
wasn't a
don't know if he was any
grandfather, but
relation to
he,
Charlie or
Oh,
not.
okay.
he may have.
It must have
they
been
may-
some relation. But
Well,
I-
they're related, I think,
Yeah,
somehow.
but
The
not-
Wrights were Alice
not
Wright
directly.
and Charlie Wright and all of them.
Not
But